Hi everyone, my name's Literal Donkey and today we're back on the RTS project. So in the last video we got a few things just polished off, making it a little bit nicer to do with the whole movement and the pressing, there was all sorts went on. So in this video we're going to be doing a few more tweaks and then get on to a little bit of the code I wanted to do in the last video. So the first thing we're going to do is on the center, I believe. Not center. Overlay, perhaps. Just here. So if we open our tile center, you can see there's a little bit of a discrepancy almost between these two. So this creates the unit at 0 and our other one creates at -1. So it'd be a bit nicer just to change that to -1. We're going to leave this as this for the moment. Normally what I would do is change this to be the tile center. Yeah, let's do that actually. So change this to center and tile center. And we will see this will cause a few little problems, but it will look a little bit nicer as well. So here we are, we've got our 3 already here. If we spawn another one in, it spawns it up there, you can see. Yeah, you can see there a little bit of an issue in that it kind of teleports a little bit, but they eventually join up together because we are effectively controlling all of these. Now what we want to do is be able to split these up a little bit. So we're going to be doing this in... Which bit are we going to be doing it in? The object overlay, which is this one actually. And yeah, we're going to leave this bit, we're going to do it a little bit underneath here. And the reason, because we're doing it in here, is we want to check if we're clicking. So someone actually asked a very similar question to this in my Discord. I thought it was quite ironic actually, because I'll be covering it in the video relatively soon after. So anyway, what we're going to be doing is creating a little box or a little rectangle depending on our mouse coordinates. The reason we want to do this is we want to be able to select units. The only way we're going to be able to select units, apart from clicking on them, which would be quite slow, is drag over them. So we're going to do that. It's going to be our first thing, and we're only going to control those ones that we've hovered over. We'll do that a bit later on, but for the moment we're just going to put a little else statement. So if we're not clicking on our little button just there, the next bit we're going to do is check our mouse button. We could, to be honest, put this at the top around the whole thing, but you know, we're going to put it here instead. So basically we're checking if we've pressed our button. The next thing we're going to do is say, well, we need some variables actually to start with. So we'll open this in the background, but what we're going to do is put a little if statement, and that's not how we do if statements at all in this language. Anyway, come back over here. In the create event, what we need to do to draw a rectangle is we need a start and an end. Now the end is obviously going to be our mouse coordinates, but our start, we don't really know what that's going to be, so we need to hold a variable. So start x and start y. I'm going to originally set them to -1, and then in here what we're going to say is if it does equal -1, so if they've not been set yet, we only have to check 1 in this case, because if one of them's -1, the other one's going to be -1 always. And if this is the case, we're going to set them equal to our mouse x and mouse y. Effectively this means if these have not been set yet, so we don't have a start coordinate for our rectangle yet, but we are holding it down, then it's the start of our rectangle. Now this is where we would typically start drawing our box. In this case though, we can't draw it because this is a step event, so we're just going to say draw equals true. And that's another variable we need to change. So to start with, draw is going to equal false. We don't want to draw our rectangle to start with. We'll go into the drawing a bit later. And we do, of course, I do apologise for the dog in the background as well, if you can hear that. We do, of course, need a reset. So if we let go of our left pressed, then we're going to reset start X and start Y, and also draw as well. So we're going to reset them to -1 and -1, meaning if we let go and click again, it'll let us do it again. Let us draw a new rectangle. So now what we're going to do in the draw GUI, I believe. Oh no, not draw GUI, just the draw event. We're going to put in a little bit of code to draw our box. We need to close this off as well. So if draw, so if we've set to draw our rectangle here, we therefore already know, if we're done here, because we know that then start X is not equal -1, we've got proper coordinates for the start X, so we can just simply say draw rectangle. X1 is going to be our start X, X2 is going to be our end X, or our start Y even, X2 even is going to be our mouse X, and mouse Y is going to be our Y2, and outline is going to be true. We want it to be an outlining rectangle. So if we run this now, should see it's all alright. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be working, which, yeah, it's not ideal. But we'll see what's going on, shall we? So, is there a problem in the step event? That's my next question. So let's go down the typical route here of doing some debug things. So let's not draw. Forgot the thing there. Show debug message, start X. So this should see if it's being reset or not. Okay, so it's being reset and then it's immediately being changed. So there's obviously a problem with the mouse check button, and I've just realised what the problem is. We want mouse check button as opposed to mouse check pressed. Mouse check pressed checks if it's being if it's been pressed like that. Mouse check button just checks if that's down, as in a 1-0 input, and we want that one. So now if we run it and we draw it, you can see we've got a nice little rectangle here. Now of course our nice little rectangle doesn't actually do anything as of yet, but what we're going to go on to in the next video is a little bit, so if we hover over, if a unit is within this, then that gets included in our selection. For the moment we're almost going to leave it there. I'm just going to set something up for the next video because I feel like we can just chuck it on the end of this one. It doesn't really fit anywhere particularly well. And that is, we're going to add a little script on. It's a script that I find myself using way too much and not actually coding ever in these videos. I use it all the time outside of videos, and the credit is not mine, I'd like to say. I'm not entirely sure who made it originally, but it's a brilliant script and I always use it in all my projects. So it's called script is between, and it takes in an X, A and B, and all it does is it checks whether X is within A and B restraint. And this means that if I show you an example, in our step event, instead of having a really long if statement here saying, you know, is this, we can just say, is this between 550 and is this between 50 and 100, and it makes it a lot quicker. In GameMaker the only way of doing this is with a script like this, so it's one that I'll be coding in most of these videos from now on. So we know var x equals, because we can't use x, it's built in, argument 0, var a equals argument 1, var b equals argument 2. relatively simple. Var left equals minimum AB, and var right equals maximum AB, and return left is less than XX and XX is less than right. So all this effectively does is it creates a little inequality, so to speak, which could also be written as like that, mathematically speaking. And if that is true, then it will go on to the next stage. And all it's saying is left is the lower bound of the two, right is the upper bound of the two. So A and B are effectively interchangeable, and then checking if it's between them. And that's a really simple script. It's quite easy to get your head around, but it isn't mine. It's something I used a lot though, and that's the reason why we've used it in this video. We will go on to use it in the next video to check if our units are between our coordinates and therefore inside the rectangle. But anyway, if you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, or what do you guys want to do, and I will talk to you in the next one.